I don't want to stop. I think it's because I spent so long, though, kind of procrastinating and not doing anything that now I'm like, no, I just need to keep going.
In the room, 52 Jokers Wild.
Hi, folks. Welcome to the show. In the room this week is Stephen Ford, writer, director, and producer. He's also the founder of Screenwriters Ireland. And as usual, we'll probably not get to talk about any of those things because
Hold on a second, George.
Tangents.
You're not going to believe this. I've got to take this call. There might be DHL. Hello?
Ooh, well, we'll keep this in here. DHL is currently ringing. Right, okay. So while Garvin's away, we'll get talking to you myself, Stephen. So how's it going, Stephen? What are you up to at the moment yourself?
It is DHL. I have to run out. Believe that. Give me a second.
That's all right. We're keeping this in the show, Garvin. That's it's going. So now, as you said, we're filmmakers. We're trying to do something. We've done crazy things. We're not allowed to do CVs in this particular show because it's a bit of a pub quiz kind of thing. So we'll have to pretend I've just come into the pub. Oh, Stephen, how you doing? Are you all right? What's your poison? Mine's usually a Guinness of some nature at some point when I'm allowed to go and drink. What about you? What do you normally drink?
Coors Light is the only thing I can have without being really sick.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Because I normally find that if I have too many beers or too much, I just don't like the taste after a while. But the Guinness is going well. And now that I'm an Irish citizen, would you believe I became an Irish citizen this year? I now prefer the Guinness down across the border from where I live, down in the actual Republic of Ireland, as opposed to up in Northern Ireland. So that's something else that I'm into at the moment. So
you're a brave man, George. I can't drink Guinness.
Oh, right. I can only drink one. I can only drink one. So we'll find out what So Garvin, no, he can't hear us yet. Garvin,
yes,
how's it going? Yes, so we're in the pub now. I've just had I've just had my Guinness here, and Stephen's got his Coors Light. What's your poison in the pub when you go for a drink?
No, I'm a big girl's blouse. I like me sweet tangs. So it's actually, I used to be a cider man in a field many a year ago with a 2 liter of something ugly and cheap. And that wasn't the girlfriend at the time. No. But I mean, it was. So actually, now I'm all about the berries this. And I can't even remember the names of them because I'm actually usually in Lidl or Aldi. I can't believe it's not Copperberg. So I think it's Copperberg.
Yes, Copperberg.
There you go. Mixed berry cider. A big girl's blouse is what I am at the best of times.
I like that ciders as well. Normally at the apple, we normally at the lime and lemon or something. I think it's like that, or lime and blueberry or something.
Now, I've always wondered how the hell is Guinness the biggest? No, I know it's not there's Guinness is the brand and they own all the others as well. I've never seen anyone drinking Guinness. I don't know who these people are. Actually, when I worked as a barman, if someone ordered a Guinness, it was the little old man in the quarters drink. It was because you were a lager, you're a lager louch. Again, that's it. We have become the little old man. Oh, there's iron in it. My blood sugar up, my protein count or something.
And I'm the designated driver now, so I have to have the Guinness Zero, which is the kind of no alcohol in it, but it tastes just as good. It's just you don't have a migraine afterwards.
Some black nonsense is what you're drinking with a bit of cream on top, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was away for 30. I'm away for 30 seconds. We're having a film business podcast show. I come back and we're talking about this little old man's pint of Guinness. So I don't know. I got to take control of this bloody thing.
No. Definitely the Guinness. We're in here drinking our Guinness. So I'm just going to have a Guinness here. Here we go. Oh, look, it's falling out the bottom now. So it's just the way we go. It reminds us of the old camera lenses and stuff like that, and why we're actually in this business in the first place is to go down to the pub and drink Guinness while we're waiting for somebody to go and set a shot up for us at some point, and Garvin to work out the budget for what we're trying to do while we're just drinking this Guinness.
Well, put it this way, it's going to be black, sloppy water. I won't be paying for the Guinness. That's actually, I always wondered, when I do Coronation Street, Crossroads, EastEnders, they spent 97% of the time in a pub of some description, and everyone's in there of a Tuesday morning. And I go, who are these people? What jobs did he have that you're able to go to the pub every day, have a drink, and then feck off to work or come back in the middle of work. It didn't make any sense to me.
But the interesting thing about Coronation Street and Emmerdale and Home and Away is that at least when you go into the pub, you feel as though the walls are quite solid. When you go to the Fair City pub, somebody walks past and the set moves like this. That's what I'm noticing. I mean, the car crash looked a bit kind of, inconvenient when they had a car crash recently, but old Emmerdale went for the lorry up into the air, over onto the side, and the kind of spooky kind of Frankenstein graphics that went up after as the menacing character.
Now I have a question, because I'm just thinking now over the years. I don't know, because I don't watch any of these programs. I don't watch much. I'm not even interested in film. But I mean, apart from that, you're not allowed to promote smoking, you're not allowed to promote alcohol. If you look around these pubs, is there any drink for sale? I don't actually see. You're not meant to promote it to the mass audience anymore. Is there any branding on those handle things, or have they actually turned all the bottles around so you're imagining what might be in the bar?
Oh, you see Fiddler's Walk, which was set in a pub called Fiddler's Walk. We had the Guinness ads hung across, and we were kind of going, oh no, do I have to CGI those out because they're no longer now available? We're not allowed to show them. And it actually stopped us getting it shown on UTV because no, you can't promote that. And one of the chalkboards had mentioned another brand, and no, you can't have that in there either. And you're going to go, for goodness sake, what can you use? What are you allowed?
No, we're 2 minutes in now, Steve. We're 2 minutes in now. You got to start. Sorry. It's like you have to be like that little child in the classroom. You got to go, sir, and you got to put in, because we won't
raise your hand.
Raise your hand if you've got something to say. Okay, so we'll bring it.
It's kind of like those movies, isn't it? In a lot of movies, you'll see the characters go in, they'll be like, "Can I have 2 beers?" And you're like, "What beer? What beer are you ordering?" There's hundreds of beers you can get, like, and it's obviously branded, like, but they never say, like, "Can I have a Heineken?" It's always like, "Can I grab 2 beers, Stella?" And it's like, "What beer are you getting though? What drink are you getting?"
No, there we're on it, because, like, I don't know. I think you might be a writer among. You've got so many hats on these days, Steve. And every time I look up, you're acting in it. You've wrote the damn thing. You're producing it. You're directing it. You're doing location. Actually, I think you're asking for a farm in Wicklow for someone else at the moment. But I mean, you're out there.
Multi-hyphenated is the word, isn't it?
There you go.
That's the one they're throwing around quite a bit.
The great thing that we like is, and it's actually following on from a conversation with CJ Wally the other day, and he says writers have to step out of the drawer, because if you can stay in there and hope someone comes along and makes your film or does so, but if you want to be proactive rather than reactive, you've got to step out of the drawer. You've got to start promoting yourself. Actually, beyond that, you've got to start finding this other production team, these other people. You've got to go play and work with them to to increase your chances of getting yours done. And what I am evidencing, and I'm not usually on Facebook and places like that, but you're creeping in front of me, and you're all over the shop. I don't know whether I have you on stalk, follow, or something, but you're there. I think you've done about 3 or 4 shorts in the last 3 days. So tell us about that for a second.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. What CJ said. It's like I was a writer for 10 years, and no one cares about you. When you're a writer, no one seems to notice you. And all of a sudden you start directing things, and everyone's like, adding you as friends on Facebook, and everyone's like, "Oh, can I be in this film? Can I be in that film? I send you my reel, send you my CV." And you're like, "What is happening? No one cared about me when I was just a writer," And it's that thing that, like, you just have to, when you're just a writer, it's so much harder to get recognized. When you step out of that and you start doing direct and everything else, it just seems to be that then people start caring. They're like, "Okay, who's this?" So I remember
the good thing I'm hearing there now is another little bit of saying that CJ and a couple of others were talking. Actually, before that, I don't know who it was. I can't remember the name. It's 2 weeks late. It's the more you're doing for others, you're starting to pay it forward. You realize if I help this guy over here get something made, it helps me. Now, again, it doesn't have to reflect back immediately like that. So we're finding the same. We're trying to meet people like yourself. We're trying to give confidence to ourselves by giving confidence to the likes of you to go, we need to move from an I mentality to a we team mentality to bring ourselves along, to increase the odds and chances of getting stuff done. And hopefully, by helping others, we help ourselves.
Absolutely, and I didn't realize that until I did my first short film about a month ago. I didn't realize how it's about like the context you make, like the context you make on set as a director. Like you said, when you do favors for people, like I don't. The 3 films that I've done, I haven't auditioned anyone to be in them. I just kind of met people and I was like, you're really lovely to talk to. Do you want to be in this? And they'll be like, one of the girls for the film we just finished the other day was saying, I've no experience. I haven't acted in years. I was like, it's okay. It's only a short film. I was like, we'll do this together. It'll be fine. Let's do it. And I just think that's much better than me saying, hey, do you want to audition? Like, who am I to audition someone, Yeah. I would rather give someone a chance and then they're like really grateful. And, then I'm like, oh, I might have something else for you. And they're like, oh, well, I actually might know someone that could help you with this,
I must say, though, the auditioning process is actually quite valuable because I know that in a couple of short films that we did and actually the feature film that we did that we auditioned. And one of the things that gave you a chance to do as a director was to watch the people perform in front of you. Whereas you might have had an idea of what they were going to be like in a particular role, you then kind of went, actually, they would be better in that role, not that role. And I remember there was an agent had sent me 2 actors for one of the shorts we did in 2001, actually. Yeah. And what happened was that he says, oh, this guy's great for this person and he's great for that one. And I went, no, they're not. They're the opposites. I wanted them to be the complete opposites so that what you expected is not what you actually got. And that made the film a lot more interesting just to actually work on because you were playing things in opposites. And the 2 actors loved it because one of them was being typecast in one role and he was now suddenly able to play the opposite, the grungy kind of dirty bag and all that kind of stuff. Whereas he was being asked to go and wear a suit and be the posh kid that didn't get into trouble. And then the other guy that was always seen as a troublemaker was turned into the posh kid. And he went, it's a bit like Michael Caine in Zulu became the posh.
I'm jumping in officer. Because you know what? Had I not known from all the sort of stuff you're putting out on social media, you're pumping it out like there's no tomorrow at the moment. I know you're married and I know you have a lovely little girl. But had I not known that, I says, this is Tinder for film. You're walking up the randomers. You're going, do you want to be in me film? Yes, I have full control over this. You don't even need to audition. So I'm going, this to me for the bachelor type guy out there that wants to pull a couple of lines that beat Tinder down, hands down. You've got the excuse to walk up to any good looking girl or boy or whatever you want to say and go, do you want to be in me film? Yeah, I heard a little bit of that for a second, but now I know you had better intentions than that, and there is a film. So
yeah, you make it sound really awful when you put it like that, Garvin. Jesus. No, so I do. Now I completely understand what George is saying about the audition process and how valuable it is and stuff. But I just felt like the 3 short films that I've done, I feel like they're not serious enough that I need to audition like a seasoned, veteran actor like that. So for the first one, Behind the Mask, I had met the girl that was in that, Sinead Cassidy Holt, on set for another short film and was just chatting away with her and I'd seen her do it and I was like, do you want to be in Behind the Mask? And we had a chat and she was like, yeah. I was like, cool, let's do it. And then she ended up now, we have such a good connection now. She's ended up doing, makeup and things like that on some of the other short films I've done, which is brilliant because she can do everything, and then for Forever, I think it was the same. I said, I seen her on Behind the Mask. I said, do you want to do this part? I think you'd be really good for it. The other guy that was in that, actually, he sent me a reel of just like, I think he was in a very, very short film, very brief. And I was like, yeah, really like that. Let's do it. And then the one I just did now, my daughter is in it. And then the 2 other girls, Fatima Cara and Gemma Hazar, that are in it, had more or less little or no experience. Had a chat with them, seeing what they'd done, and they were kind of really nervous, like I've no real experience. I was like, well, come on, let's just do it. It's nothing, not huge roles, really small parts. We can do this. And they really knocked it out of the park, I have to say. For all the 3 short films I've done, all the actors really impressed me, I have to say.
You just said there in the middle of that, if it wasn't as, it's not as serious, so it's not that serious. What would change, and why would it change if you felt it was serious?
And as I know, I was to stop you. I'm going to put a little addendum or a little caveat on that, because the word "serious" might just mean budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you were saying the actor, you didn't go for a serious actor. Because a serious actor would be going, how much? You're going, well, no, the unserious actors go, no, this is my show reel. So is there a little bit of that rather than...
I mean, let's say I walk back on saying serious and say that the actors that were in the 3 films I've done so far really impressed me. And I was surprised that they hadn't been in a lot of other stuff, like as actual roles. And the thing that I found with a lot of them was they'd been in a lot of stuff as extras, but no one had ever given them a chance to actually have lines in a film.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, you know, I think Fatima Cara that was in Shark Teeth, I watched a self-tape she did where she was crying and stuff, and I was like, that's really good. I was like, how have you never had a role where you've done lines? I was like, just come on, let's do this, like, you know.
Brilliant.
Budget does, yeah, I mean, budget, like, they're essentially, well, I thought there was such a thing as no budget films. There isn't. I found out on Behind the Mask that you end up paying, I think I ended up spending maybe €400, I think it was, and I thought it was going to be like nothing, like not a penny, you know. And no, I mean, I think if I had a bigger budget, I wouldn't necessarily go for, you know, actors that were, because I've also met a lot of really great experienced actors that should almost be paid for a lot of the roles they've done. Like we had an older couple as well in Forever, Sandra Hayden Mason and Richard Mason, and they have been in everything. Like Sandra had a small part in The Lobster with Colin Farrell and everything. Yeah. And it's like, for them to be in the film and to do it for free because I had no budget is like, oh my God, like, you know, I was listening to their stories. We were on break and I was like, they're just brilliant. They were so good. I barely had to give them any directions, you know.
Well, we've worked with a couple of people that were in Ballycascangel and who came to help support projects that we were working on for the same. They were doing it as a favor. And they helped a load of students work through one of the projects they were doing. But at the other end of it is that I've also worked with some actors who you have been paid and I felt they didn't deserve it. And what I'm saying is that it's like a lot of people seem to think, well, I'm the actor, I should get paid X, Y, and Z. And when you start to get into it, you suddenly kind of going, they're not actually doing what I want them to do. They're preempting things. They're trying to take over as the director. They're not taking direction. They're not working with me. There's no collaboration. It's their way or the highway, you know, and that can also be a bit of a problem. And you're kind of sitting there kind of go, I'm having to pay for this, you know, and I'm not getting what I work. And if you're trying to fit into a schedule and you're trying to work pretty fast, you suddenly can find that becomes a block that's preventing you from achieving your daily goals, which is also budgetary constrained. So one of the things that we started to do, which may also help, is that on your next short, which may also have no budget, use the likes of Beck2 rates, work out what everybody's rate is, and actually come to terms with them that effectively you've invested into my project your time, which is worth this amount of money. What then starts to happen is you then start to take it seriously. That's the difference. You then start to say, well, actually, this is the value that I've now put into this film. We need to somewhere along the line try and get the value back, either by getting this into winning awards in some form or fashion, or trying to get work that pays for these other people to then move on. And that becomes a very useful way of looking at things. So but without losing what you've done in the current approach, you know, because you're actually helping nurturing people into those roles and helping them build up their confidence that, yes, I can do this. And there is no difference between what I'm doing here when I'm helping somebody else to what I'm actually doing when I'm actually getting paid for it. And I think those people that then do pay for their skills, which may be a little bit later on, they'll appreciate these people know what they're talking about and they are actually being more professional than the ones that claim to be professional at times. That was just a few thoughts coming from.
I'm going to swing back around on the same thing again and not be funny or anything else. No, the great thing was you're saying you found these other extras. They're only extras. They're aspiring actors or thespians or somewhere in between. They're extras because they're on set. They've got I'm an extra and I've never been on set. So, I mean, I'm on the list. I haven't even got to turn up to be an extra to get to go on the journey of maybe being an actor. No, I'm not really on that journey, but I know there's an awful lot of people out there that done the drama classes, done the spotlight school of dancing and backflipping and whatever else you might need to do. And but it's up to someone else to choose them, because they'll pick them from a reel and go, this is how, in my mind's eye, they fit this role, they fit that look, they fit. So the decision is someone else's decision. The great thing, it still was your decision in this case, but you were going, it wasn't based on what you did in the past. It was based on your present and future potential. And you saw that and you gave them the opportunity. And that's the language that we're loving, because that's where we are. We're going, no one's going to give us a job. I wouldn't give me a job after seeing my own CV. So therefore, but do they believe in the passion? Do they believe in the vision? Do they believe in the potential? That's the story you want to pitch. And therefore, with your scripts, with your stories, with your actors, and with your team, it's to pitch that believable journey. And you're going to see, you want people to see in you what you see in them. And but you have to be seen for that to be seen, potentially seen and understood.
Yeah. Completely.
And there's a lot of people out there.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And not even like, they're not even all just extras. Like a few of them have been in stuff, but like, I think to have so many more opportunities, like, I think it's strange. Like, Sandra and Richard that I had in Forever, they were brilliant. Like they've been in a lot of short films and stuff like that. Like I said, Sandra was in The Lobster Common Fire and everything. They were so good. Like they were just so good. Like I would have them again in another film if I had a role for them.
No, you can't. Like, no, you have to get some other newbies, because then everything will be same actors will be appearing everywhere.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I suppose you need to edit the bit out where I said I didn't take them serious. No, what I meant was budget-wise, they're not like the three films are really small scale. Like Behind the Mask was shot basically on the one floor. Forever was shot on the same spot in Bray. Shark Teeth was basically shot here in my own apartment. And the other one that we have this Sunday, Drink Up, is shot in my apartment. So they're very small budget, look, you know.
You know what, Stephen? I'm going to use the language we're using the last couple of ones. I'm going to stick to this, going forward anyway. You're a guerrilla. That's what you are. You're guerrilla marketing. You're guerrilla filmmaking. You're an indie guerrilla. You're going, I'm not one location, half a location. That's what I can do. An actor, don't even need them. I just look out the window. We'll take a couple of birds and we start doing some mime. No, the great thing is you're starting on the minimum location, the minimum number of actors, the minimum amount of moving parts to create a story that has meaning. So therefore, you can work up from that and out to a million moving parts. And all that adds on then is money, budget, moving parts, complexity. In its simplicity, did you impart a meaningful 3 minutes of something that someone got it? They got to see it and they got it. They got the message. Now, a million people didn't get to see it, but if they saw it, they'd get it. And that's what we're trying to do is impart that little story.
And I mean, with Behind the Mask, like when I wrote that like 2-3 years ago, it did well in some writing competitions, and that was stuck. Like when I had a director attached to that was stuck. Like we were trying to find money for like 3 years. It was never. But that script was originally set in a pawn shop, and the director that I had attached knew someone that had a pawn shop down the country, and we were like, right, we're going to do this, but we need to raise at least 1,300 maybe, you know. And then COVID struck, and even before COVID struck, we only had like maybe 300. You know, we were nowhere near. Then once COVID struck. That director had to drop out and do her own. She had her own films, and she was like, "Why don't you do it yourself?" And I was off I had done directing once in college, and I hated it, and I swore I'd never do it again. And she said, "Why don't you do it?" And I was like, "Okay, maybe I will." Like, you know. And then as I was starting the process, then I realized how I thought it would be so much easier, you know. And people gave me advice, and they were like, "You haven't went to college to study film. This is your first time jumping into the visual side of things. Just find a crew that knows everything about their own field, and they will help you." And that's what I did, and surround myself with a bunch of a brilliant team that I now like have kept mostly the same people for sound and cinematography and stuff like that for all of the films that I've been on. I've been lucky enough, like, you know. So yeah, it's totally.
What do you do about the editing? What happens with the editing?
So the editing, like, I didn't think it would be so difficult to find an editor. So for the first film, I actually had to pay an editor, not nowhere near the amount that he would have been getting if he had been like getting a proper editing job. But I basically just had to search through Facebook and through groups and stuff for someone who was willing to edit it for their, experience for a small amount. So it was the same with Forever then. It was a different editor because I couldn't afford the first editor again. And then the third one then was a different editor, and the next one will be the same editor, I think. So you're really you feel bad because you can't pay people all the time, and you're really relying on other people's pure kindness that they're willing to do 2 late night shoots for you all night, doing sound and doing DOP, and that some of them are good enough to be getting paid to do it, but they obviously like you or like the script or something, or they wouldn't be doing it.
You're coming from the hardest part of film. No, I said you probably saw. No, yeah. I'm thinking to myself, no, you didn't, because you didn't watch any of the shows till yesterday. But apart from that, because we didn't do our job well, we didn't do our marketing well. Stephen's out there in the film. He's our target audience, and it took us 2 fucking years to get one show in front of him, and the show we got in front of him is the one he's on. So I mean, yeah, and he probably won't even watch that one.
That's not true. I've seen a few. I did. Right. I remember when you first started off. I was watching them for a while. I kind of took a break from Facebook.
Yeah, I take a break from that as well.
Yeah, I came back and just were still going. I was like, "That's brilliant."
No. Well, the question I was getting. The strange thing is, the few people we're talking. No, actually, few. George reminded me this morning. This is probably episode 25 in the film bunch, and the people we're talking to in there, we still are calling in indie production. We're trying to define. There's micro production, no budget, this budget, but we're trying to kind where we are, and we've decided we're sub 1 million. But I mean, from 0 to 1 million is the journey from short to breakout feature to unproven necessary to basically get someone else's money. Because you're not going to have $1 million in your back pocket. Someone else has to be involved as you go on that journey to that sort of type of figure. But you're literally going from 0 to the hero because you've took yourself out of the drawer. You started where you were comfortable with nothing. Because it's like ourselves. If you have nothing, that's what you're starting with. So to get something, you've got to get others involved. And the great thing is you're going on the journey of the hardest thing out there, which is the journey from script to short. Because it's from no money to a little bit of money, the minimum value proposition, the minimum amount of money. So, because I'm dependent upon someone else's skills to package this. And then you've done it. You've done it 3 times in the last month. And the great thing is, now, in some ways as an accountant, I'm going, I hear 100 quid, I hear 300, and I go, and I know it's hard because that's money that you're not eating and drinking and living. There has to be excess. And it's something you're investing in yourself. And so other people might laugh at that figure and go, oh, geez, I spent that on pints of Guinness on a Saturday night. Depending on who you're talking to, that is an unachievable, it's an aspirational amount because I just don't have it in these tough times. But your passion is driving you into an uncomfortable zone, again, for Tregan Murphy, you're leading yourself beyond the edge of your comfort zone, back into directing. You didn't like directing, but you knew I have to go there to pull myself out of the drawer. I have to bring other people up with me and make them my team, my dream team. And if I go from 0 to 500 quid, that's a stepping stone to 5,000 to 50 to 500. And that's the journey I now see you on. And because I'm an accountant in the past, if you had the budget, if you could attract it, your mindset changes. You don't feel apologetic for not paying people their worth. You identify their worth and go, I want to be worthy of my team. I want them to be valued, feel valued. I want them to go on a journey with me. And I want us not to be in a penny place, but a pound. And therefore, but that's a mindset. And I think you are rocking and rolling it. And don't let the figure block your way.
Yeah,
it's the passion will push through, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we had this really funny thing on Behind the Mask where obviously the whole film relied on a mask. The original mask I wanted was this Japanese mask, and it's like there's a different mask for each feature or something like this. They were like a couple of hundred. I was like, there's no way I can afford that, So paper mache,
that's it.
Exactly. So I had to get like a one that was supposed to be kind of it was supposed to be plastic, basically hard plastic. It was this creepy mask with horns and everything. Ordered it, the mask came, and it was literally just this droopy piece of rubber crap.
Not to be using wish.com now. Honestly, you should have learned your lesson before this.
That's what people told me, never buy off wish.com. I was like, how did you know? How did you know I got it off wish.com? But I remember I was like, the whole film's over. It's finished now. Like the whole thing relies on the mask. It doesn't work now. So I actually ended up this guy ended up getting in touch with me. I was like desperate, and I reached out through Facebook up to everyone. This guy got in touch with me who actually does stuff like this in America for films. Got in touch with me, and basically over the space of 2 weeks led me through the process of like everything. Like I had to glue, cut the strap, cut bits off, glue a mask onto the inside, all of this stuff. And when it was done, he was like, "You've just made your own mask." I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." Like,
Yeah.
like
I hope you were videoing that as you were going. That was probably got more YouTube hits than the film.
I was really proud, Garvin. I was really proud, because if you look at the picture of the mask before to what it was when film, I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, everyone that when I sent the picture into the group before we started filming, they were like, "Oh my God, that's a completely different mask." Like,
but something, there's just such subliminal messaging in the sense of, I didn't watch the film. Didn't see it. Don't know if it's out there.
It's not out yet now.
Right.
Yeah.
But by definition, behind the mask, if you start using that language, that's what's going on. Behind them, we all have this mask, and behind it, we're panicking, we're afraid, or we're questioning, and we're fearful, or we might be mildly confident. But everyone has this mask when we're in actually, we were talking about this earlier on, the professional mask. And I go, sorry, I broke that one day one. We have the unprofessional mask now, and I can't. This is it, and this is reality, and be yourself. So behind the mask, you've just got to be you. You've got to be comfortable with what you're doing.
One of the things that I was discussing
you're now gone beyond behind the mask.
Yeah. One of the things I was discussing this morning was the fact that we constantly think that everybody else has more expertise than we do. And what I suddenly started to realize was, well, actually, long time ago, was no, we don't. They only have a certain amount of information. They don't have all the information that they need to be able to advise you in one form or fashion. The only person that does have that is you yourself, or as I, in the situation you find yourself in. And it's having the confidence to say, look, we're going to go with that. We were in a situation, one of our films, whereby a week before we were about to shoot, we had a body say, no, you need to be making a promo video. And we went, no, we've got everything in place for the next month to shoot. And they said, no, you need to go and get a promo video to get the money. We shot the film, edited it, showed it to them. They went, oh my God, you've made the movie. That's amazing. And we suddenly went, what did they know? They would have just stopped us from actually moving forward. So that's an important part of the process is actually believing in yourself and realizing that you can do things. And the other thing is looking at what's happening in real life. We've just had a renovation going on in the house, and we've been seeing the coordination of people going through. And also in that situation, what we realized was that different tradesmen only had a small picture of the overall picture. The only people that had it was us. So we were able to go in there and direct what we needed done and then let them get on with their job, which is really what a director's doing as well. So there's so many other areas that you can draw upon to help you make the product, which is what you did with the mask, which I think is wonderful. I mean, that's why getting a garage and filling it up with tools and being able to make things and getting a 3D printer, it means you can actually create the things that you need. We wanted a track and dolly for one of our shoots. And so we went down to B&Q and bought some, 32 millimeter plumbing pipe. And that became the core component of a track and dolly system that we wanted with our normal tripod and a couple of skateboards, butchered it and fitted it up. It was brilliant. But those are definitely skills that you need to start. They'll never go to waste. And you'll be able to use them on the products that you're doing, which I think is fabulous.
I'm going to wrap a couple of your shorts together in my head, because I'm sitting here going, this is what's going on. You're going, hold on, forever behind the mask. And you're going, no, you're no longer behind the mask. You've now sharpened your teeth. You've sharpened your teeth. And you become a bloody vampire. So you're now taking from everywhere else and bringing it to yourself and making them sort of perform to your command. So I think you just got to get the right names of the right films going forward, and it's just going to start becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, and it's strange that sharp teeth that we just finished on Saturday was probably the hardest of the 3 shorts I've done so far, and that was with my own child.
Yeah, that's Lexi. That's she's messing around there now. She's taking control of producing and directing.
Oh God, that was tough. I think we all, there was a point on the first night or Friday night where it just got to the stage where we were just like, this
divorce was looming. Yeah, I know.
That too. Yeah. Yeah. We were just like, this film is never going to see the light of day, and eventually we got it done. We had another prop problem as well on Shark Teeth, where we got these fangs that were crap, like, and the mold goes into the tooth, and the tooth then goes into her teeth, and so the mold just wasn't working. So we ended up having to get like a toffee sweet, putting them into the fangs and putting the fangs on. And so every time we did a take, she had to run out and put more toffee in and keep doing it. And I was like, this is something for like IMDb trivia page or something for the film. Like, this is the things that you have to do. Like, you just never know what you're going to have to try and come up with at the last minute. Like,
masking tape is your only man. It's the only thing I have in my
duct tape, not masking tape. Masking tape is absolutely crap. Everybody has duct tape somewhere, you know.
Duct tape. There you go.
Duct tape somewhere, you know.
Well, it was actually the cinematographer, Midran Al Hadri, that I have on the Tree Films. He said on Shark Teeth.
How long did it take you to learn to say that?
Yeah. I was practicing a Garvin before. I wanted to get
tell you, I'm not even going to attempt that.
Because I told him I'd mention him, so I was in my head. I was right. How does he say that name? Yeah, I have it. Yeah. But he was actually the one that said, "Why don't we just put some toffee or something in it?" I was like, "You're crazy. That's just ridiculous." Like, you know, it worked. So I was like,
"Super glue. Don't worry about it." Yeah. Gorilla glue, even better.
Gorilla glue. Oh, yeah. Then there's a massive bill to go to the dentist to get it removed at some point.
Actually, I'm reminded of when we first. This is it. I'm reminded of the first time we didn't meet. You know, so it was like 2 years ago, and we touched base on LinkedIn, Facebook. History is finding a way. Like, this, what's happening is serendipity in the universe, or God in George's case, is bringing things full circle. So we got to meet now, but we didn't meet then, and we could have had a Costa coffee then, and we don't get to have one now. Yeah. But back then it was, what was the name of the Screenwriters Ireland? What's the name of the group?
I think back then when we were talking, it was Dublin Screenwriters. Now it's Screenwriters Ireland.
Right, Screenwriters Ireland. What the hell is that about? What happens in there?
So basically, I set Screenwriters Ireland up about, I think it's over 3 years ago now, and it was when I was going through a bad stage because I'd had years of just writing and nothing was happening, as a lot of writers know is the way it goes. And I thought, there's no groups in Ireland that I can find that help writers, that writers can come to, and we can all talk about writing, screenwriting specifically, and we can all share our scripts and give advice and have guests. And I was like, I can't find anything that does that. So I was like, okay, I know. I was going through a bad time. I was a really anxious person back then. I was like, good way to overcome my anxiety. Let's get 30 people all together that I have to talk to at a big table.
Go back a sentence here. How to overcome my anxiety?
Exactly.
Let's get 30 people and put myself up. I'd have the opposite effect on me. That would.
Actually, Garvin, what that demonstrates is he has been listening to our shows every single week, avidly, because he wouldn't have learned that. You know,
maybe not 30, but there was at least 20 something, which was good for me because back then I could barely talk to one person. So I remember just from then on, we just everyone just seemed to love it. We just had people just who didn't even know about screenwriting and wanted to learn about it, and all of us were sharing scripts with each other, giving feedback to each other. We ended up having guests in with us like John Connors and Emma Kirwan and Terry McMahon, all these like legends of film in Ireland, like, you know. And it just was brilliant. And since then, we've just changed it to Screenwriters Ireland because I felt like Screenwriters Dublin.
Yeah, you're a bit racist for Dublin there now.
Yeah, and I mean we have people in the group from all over the world now, like, and because we do it over Zoom, we can have guests on it. Because obviously we can't do it in person because our old location is like we can't do it in there anymore. Because it's over Zoom now, we can have guests on it that we could never have on it before, that were never available to come in person. Like we had this guy Christopher Lockhart he's like this huge story editor in America. He's worked with some of the biggest actors in Hollywood. We had him on over Zoom. We never would have got him in person, like ever.
Did you take him off mute now? I mean, I normally have George on mute. That's it. He didn't know he was on. He was just a little head in the corner looking around.
Yeah, just talking about
where's the on button?
Yeah.
You know?
Did you do those live? Were they live shows, or did you record them? Or
no, they were live, and then I recorded them and put them into the group, so anyone who didn't go could see it then. But like I didn't really know with Christopher Lockhart who he actually was. It sounds terrible, but kind of
you've done as much research as we do.
That's how our shows go.
Exactly.
It's better not to know who they are.
And it sounds terrible. And afterwards, the guys were like to me, like, I obviously threw out when he was talking about things, like, he was talking about, I was talking to Denzel's agent. I was like, holy fuck. I was like, who is this guy? Like, and afterwards the guys at the meeting from the group were saying to me, how did you get him, Steve? And I was like, well, I just sent him a message.
I Googled him.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think I ended up, I was in this group, the Inside Pitch for log lines, but I hadn't done any research on him. And I was like, he runs the group. He seems like he knows his stuff. Let's have him on. And they were like, how'd you get him? I was like, I just sent him a message. And he said, oh, yeah, I love Ireland. Yeah, no problem. I'll come on any time. And they were like, what? It's like, yeah, I just sent him a message.
You didn't mention that there's only 18 members. He said, Screenplayers Ireland, you say. I heard of Ireland. And this is a national group. Brilliant. I'll come on as a guest.
Yeah.
And there's about 18 years sitting there with Costa cups going, jeez, this is great.
And I've got an auntie who lives in Galway who probably went, do you know her? That's what I always say.
No, the one thing here, George, is the great thing is if you ask, most of the time in our head, we're asking and answering questions that we haven't asked. And we're getting rejected for things that we haven't done in our mind. And no one's actually seen it. It's like, I didn't get that job. You didn't apply for the CV. You're in some cases, I didn't get my film made. You never posted it out to anybody. No one bloody knows it's there. So it's not rejection. It's self-rejection. It's the fear of rejection. So if you reach out and ask, the worst that can happen is a no. But you got to ask again the next person. And the next one might be, and George always says this, you can ask 1,000 times and 999 times it's a no, you can give up. Well, if you just ask that 1,000 times, that's a yes. That's 100% yes. That's 100% you just won the lottery. But we have to buy a ticket. We cannot win a lottery with no tickets.
Exactly,
Well, one of the things that I found, and this works also in editing, because we're talking about that sort of internal rejection type thing, is that as an editor, if you became too engrossed, too passionate, your first cut you think is brilliant. I've sweated over this, and the director kind of goes, no, you should, no, you need to change that, and you feel destroyed. And I think what's happening with us on this show is that we're kind of going, if somebody wants to come along, we'll have a giggle. And we don't care. And we'll just have a bit of fun, and it will just be good. And so we had should I say? We had a show where we started to interview somebody, and he sat there and went, blah, all over the place. We were just thinking, are you all right? And it was just kind of, right, okay. What do we do in this situation?
It was probably a little bit of nerves. It could have been the old...
absolutely.
But it was an actor, and there was an element of anxiousness. And it was probably high anxiety. And we're going, we don't even have any customers or viewers.
I know.
It's not getting up on stage. But again, it was a thought process, possibly, of what am I going to say? What am I going to say? I don't know. And we're going, don't worry, you're not even going to get a chance to talk. You know what I mean? If you had asked that beforehand,
he would have told you.
Absolutely. I didn't even get a chance to talk half the time.
That's right. That probably would have been me if you had asked me to do this 2 years ago. I probably would have been that person.
Yeah, but I think we're just enjoying having a load of fun. I mean, because I know that when I first got into television, if I'd looked at multi-camera work and I looked at all the things, and I would have been freaking out like nobody's business. I'm kind of going, that's a doddle. Just set up the cameras and make sure they're all recording. And then if something goes wrong, which it has on a couple of shows, you kind of go, that was a great show, but it obviously wasn't the show because that button didn't go. So we'll record it again tomorrow. And actually, as long as you're honest, everybody, and the person we were talking to on that occasion sort of got themselves all dolled up and sort of came on with a dress and everything else and went, okay, you've got prepared this time round. You hadn't got prepared the last time round. You weren't expecting this. So it works. And you kind of go, just enjoy the process. Let's just have a little bit of fun and see what happens.
It's the best way to be,
Yeah. Now, the weird thing is, we includes you. Well, it normally doesn't, but we're going to include you. The royal we, which is actually it's me, it's I. It's not. I'm just saying the royal we.
No.
Right. Us, we're more representative of the audience, of the world, and with the positions we're all in. It's the ones at the top of the food chain that are the stars. They're not the star. They're the exception, not the rule. So if this is more closer to reality in the sense that we're all aspiring, we're all trying to figure things out, we're all muddling along, we're all disempowered or semi-empowered, and we don't. It's not life. It's not easy. If it was that easy, we'd all be stars. And then so the whole point is there's a lot more black space, dark space than there are stars in the universe. So and we're in that other space, and therefore you are representative of people's dreams. We're representative of people's dreams. We may not achieve our dream, but the whole point is to have them and to be pursuing them. Not everyone can win. There has to be second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh in that race. But I mean, if we get disillusioned because we're not first, then no one is going to go out the front door.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's great to see you outside the front door. You should have learned your lesson apple tree in the last month.
Yeah. That's what the made my DOP for the last 3 films said to me like a couple of weeks ago. He was like, I have no fucking doubt that by the end of next year you will probably have a feature at the rate you're going. Like, and I was like,
no, that's it. It's keep on doing it for yourself, not yourself, for themselves, yourself, for the rest of the others.
Yeah, what happened with us was that we produced 14 shorts and suddenly went, well, if you strung the 14 shorts together, there's 2 feature films. We've made 2 feature films and we didn't even realize it because we were focusing on the shorts, which again, going back to Garvin's thing about what he was saying about don't use the same actors all the time. A lot of the students I've worked with, they've always used the same cast. And people are sitting there in the audience. Is this the same film as we were watching a short time ago? Is this a different movie? Because they all seem to have the same people in it. They thought they were watching this really bizarre feature-length film with all the same actors coming off. They've got a really crazy stuff. But I do think it's, once you start to accumulate, I mean, I don't know how long. Did you say your film is about 3 or 4 minutes, or how long? How long is it? All 3 shorts that you put together so far?
I'd say the first one will probably be near 10 minutes. The second one probably maybe under 5 minutes. The third one maybe close to 10 as well. And then the one we're doing on Sunday, probably under 5 minutes as well.
But there's 30
episode,
minutes,
you have half an hour.
30 minutes worth of film. Yeah. So all we need to do is twice that volume and you've made a feature-length film. So, I mean, the experiences that you're gathering just because you keep on going out and shooting these little shorts are valuable stuff, real good investment into what you're doing. And once people start to see that you've got this accumulation of films and experience, they will say, well, look, do you know what? He can direct a bigger project. And that's where you get the likelihood of someone coming to you and asking you to direct their project. How would you feel about that? If someone came to you now and said, look, why don't you direct this feature film I've got? You've not written it. You've not got anything else to do it. We just want you to direct it. How would you feel about that?
Panic. No, I'm messing.
Same as the rest of us.
It's actually,
now, the first question you should have said, Stephen, is, what's the budget?
Yeah. What's the budget? Will I get paid?
It's funny that you say that, though, because actually I was talking to one of the guys in the crew about this a while ago, and I was saying that I wrote Behind the Mask, I wrote Forever, I wrote Sharp Teeth, and I was like, after I wrote those 3 scripts, I had nothing else in my head I wanted to write. So anything else I wrote was Midge asked me to write a short horror, so I did that. Sinead Cassidy Holt, that was in the films, gave me an idea for another one. She said, why don't we do this together? I wrote that. So unless anyone comes to me with ideas now, I feel like at the moment there's nothing in my mind. I don't have any other ideas for shorts. Anything I'm directing now after this one was ideas that someone else has given to me. Like, so the one on Sunday, Sinead said, I have this great idea. Why don't we write it? I was like, okay, cool. Why don't we both direct it? Okay, cool. Let's do it. So
I love it. Yeah. You know what's happening there? It's sometimes you can't just walk up to someone, actually, even in business, go, all these 10-year-olds are making millions, go, I'm an accountant, I'm a businessman. Just go off and do that. Why don't you just go off and do that now? You're going, what is that? I don't know. You can't just go off and write J.K. Rowling bloody Harry Potter because you can write. You're going, now the strange thing is it's a focus. The whole point of having a quiver of arrows is you're aiming it at a target. You go, that's a target. I'm going to aim my skill set at it. I'm going to bring the skills to bear. But sitting there and you haven't got a bow and a quiver, you're going, what's the target? I don't know. Have you got any arrows? No. You're going, what? You have the wherewithal and the ability. That's you have techniques. But now you got to focus. It has to be targeted at something, and you can write any story. If I said it's a zombie horror, comes to Dunkin' Donuts, you'll make it happen because you're going, there are the bits. I got to put them together. I got to make it interesting. These are the moving parts. You have to target the effort and you have to empower and then bring the quality and bring the value. So you have a skill set. That's what all these people have is if it's an uncommissioned script, if you're a script writer, that's what you wrote because that's what came into your mind. If someone wants to commission you, they're going, I want it under these parameters because I want to use your skill set. And that's a different something. So at the moment, anyone, let's say in the group that's sitting in the drawers, you're going, there's a bunch of people, and CJ Wally says, there's 1,000 people on the platform waiting for someone else to target their skills. So that's the difficult thing. If there's no one there looking to target it, then you have a bunch of arrows in it that are sitting around and no bow.
Exactly. And I've been there, and this is how I met CJ Wally actually, was that like so many writers is you write a script and you're like, you'll see people posting groups. I wrote my first feature, I finished the final draft, and everyone's like, brilliant. Then they're like, now what do I do? Keep writing, write another one. And all you can do is just keep writing and writing. And then you don't realize that like you need to get yourself out there because they're not going to come to you unless you are like 1 in a billion.
Now I love that. Someone... The target is not going to come over and smack its head on the arrow.
That's it.
And I sat around for so many years thinking I'm going to write a great script and someone will come looking for me. And then years later, I'm like, well, how are they going to I need to put myself out there. And you need to make contacts. You need to, like all these things online are great. Like competitions are great for experience. Coverfly, Script Revolution are all brilliant as well. But at the end of the day, it usually always comes down to getting yourself out there and who you know and who you make contacts with, who you make friends with and stuff, I don't think I even would have been where I am today only for the last, let's say, I don't know, maybe 5 years, the people that I've made friends with and the people that I've, got in contact with to the group and stuff like that. It's all about who you know. Like it comes down to who you know, I think, at the end of the day.
It's who you know and what you know.
And what you know.
Not on their own.
Yeah.
You've got to match the who to the what. Now, the weird thing is then you have to go the when, the why, the where, and the how much. Because they are the other bits that are missing.
Yeah. Well, it's true. You do have to be good at what you do as well, even though there is a lot of films you'll see and you're just like, oh my God, that's awful. But I think you do have to know what you're doing also. And you have to know how to market yourself and your script as well, I think.
I think the other thing is that you also have to definitely learn to say no to certain things, because one of the problems that can happen is you get an avalanche of stuff hitting you. And you're sitting there kind of go, all right, how do I do this? How do I go about, looking at these things? And you need to set up little tools for yourself that basically if these things hit certain markers, then you can say, yes, okay, we'll take it to the next stage. But if I'm being asked to invest a lot of time, even just reading a script, sitting there kind of go, well, there's 2 or 3 hours just to read a script. I haven't got 2 or 3 hours. So people need to understand the process of what would trigger the next bit for you to, why would you invest 3 hours? Well, if somebody gave you a slug line that you could read very quickly, well, maybe you get an idea. Kind of, if your idea is, if you've been tempted to read more, then you say, okay, give me an outline. Let's see an outline. Then let's see the treatment. Let's see the synopsis. They want to be fed. They want to be tempted more and more to try and read things. And I think that's what a lot of folks, they tend to write their scripts first without going through this other process, and then expect somebody to invest such a lot of time in reading this feature film. And you're sitting there kind of go, I've got no idea what this is about. And I know that when I've read about 3 or 4 pages of something, I'm straight away kind of going, what do I want? I mean, somebody sent something to us and I started to read through it and I got to page 20 and I went, why am I reading this? And Garvin says, but it's about this, and this. It's about this sci-fi thing. And I went, I didn't get that from the first 20 pages. Where did that come into it? I thought I was reading some kind of guy about.
No, I'm going to give you an example.
Because I think I'll probably get in. Yeah. But you've got to have those processes.
I'm 2 months into a script I haven't read. Yeah. I'm actually I know more about it than the writer, director, producer. I know every activity, every actor, every line, every. No, I haven't read the lines. I know how many lines there is, how many lines per actor. I know lines per location. I don't even care. I know how many 42 locations. I know there's 7 lines. There's 13 actors. I know it has 30 days of production. I know what it costs down to the second penny in 15 minutes. I haven't actually read the story. I mean, no, I am vested enough to go, that was structure, that was process, that was all about having what's the cost of a crew to have those actors there in a day to carry it, get 6 scenes in the can and 3 minutes of production. And if it was there, it doesn't matter what the 3 minutes is in terms of editing, I'm going to have 90 minutes to be brought down to 3 on a regular basis at a cost of, that's accounting language. That's the functionality. That's the process. That's the procedures. That wasn't, is this shite? What is the story? Were the lines any good? Did the actor perform? Don't even care, because what I'm looking at was, this is a 357,000 quid before there's a bloody moving part of any interest in there, A-list anything. And I'm going to go, they thought it was 2. I'm going, it's 357,000 of minimum part. And I go, and therefore you're saying, is it worth reading? No, this was a process I was teaching myself and going through anyway. But the weird thing is, you have to know, and everyone has to know, what is it they have? What is the minimum value it can be done for? What is the aspirational value if you were sticking Clint Eastwood in it? You know, and the best DOP on the planet. And between the min and the max is the value that moves between 1 million customers and 20 million customers to make this work, be it an investment or a flop. So the story hasn't changed. And the pitch has, the ask has.
Yeah. We've basically worked out for every 3 minutes of film, it's around about £5,000. All the bits and pieces that go into it. So that's, it's every 3 minute film that you've made, or 3 minutes parts of, like your 10-minute film, is 15,000. So you've already spent on your show, if it's half an hour, you've spent what?
You're 150 grand of effort in.
That's
it doesn't matter if it's any good.
Yeah.
This is not about it being good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if it had to get its money back, had you paid it, you're going, it's 7 cents of paying view as something out there. Yeah. You need 1 million paying customers of 7 cents of something on a Netflix profit share to give you that money back.
Yeah.
Was it that good?
It's kind of like we had another thing Christopher Lockhart said when we had him on was all the different components that writers don't realize to getting the script out there. It's not just as easy as saying to someone, I have a great script. It's how important your logline is. Like he was saying that he gets hundreds of scripts a day from people. And he said, like, I'm so busy, I would never have the time. And he was like, if I'm going to take the time to even read one of those scripts on a day when I could be spending off with my family, it better be fucking good. He was like, it better be good. He was like, if I don't like the log line, then I'm not even going to read the script. Like, so there's so many different components. I think that.
No, I'm interested. See, the weird thing is, you're not saying you, but there's the statistics out there says for everyone that thinks that person. I mean, 6 weeks into our first show, people are sending me their scripts. I go, I'm talking shite with George on a podcast, and people are sending me their scripts. And now, is that because they believe I'm an executive producer, investor? No, strangely enough, we are. No, but that is not evident then. It could be more evident now. Yes, we have a production company, we have a production academy. Our intent is to finance short and features. That intent is there. That we have got contacts with bigger money that will be like if we see value and can funnel it for them. So people have to realize, where is the gatekeepers? So most of the time you don't know where to shoot the arrow, and they're shooting at the same place everyone else is shooting it. And if that's the case, there's 500 arrows and it's like your man Lockhart. He's going, every time I look out, the postman's bringing it's like fucking Santa Claus. They're bringing me all these things. I have no time. I have no interest. I didn't ask for them to keep on sending them. Who's asking for these? Who wants to hear them? Who's willing to pay? Are we sending them to the wrong post box? That's the problem. We will have to align our skills and arrows and quivers with the targets and go, I want this, send me this. I've asked for it. You're not wasting your time and you're not feeling rejected if I don't respond.
I think that's why so many writers become directors as well, because you have more chance of getting noticed visually for your writing and directing than just being a writer. But I made I've done the same. I think all writers do when they first start off. They, find a famous producer on Facebook and hey, I have this great script for you to read, and it's just a lack of knowledge. As I went on, I realized, the older I got and stuff, the longer I was writing for, the harsh reality of it. Like, I was like, oh my God, what have I got myself in for? This is not easy. Like, this can lead to, I went through stages where I was almost depressed because I was writing all these things. I was like, what do I do with them? I can't, because competitions are great, but 90% of the time, you're not going to go anywhere from a competition. Like,
and I think there's something.
Confidence.
There's something about. I know Garvin says he hasn't read that other script, but one of the things
I lied. I'm making this up.
No. Yeah, but I think that there's something important there, because one of the problems is that having worked on several projects, quite a lot of projects, if you're working on something that you find it very hard to believe in, it becomes a drudgery. You can't keep on doing it. So you've got to have something that you believe in that is worthwhile making to be able to see you through what can potentially be a 2-year period to make a feature film, because of the problems of trying to get. It's not the functionality of making that film that takes 2 years.
That's just money.
No, but what I'm saying is but the functionality is probably about 20 weeks is the functionality of making that film. But the problem is, the reason why it takes the 2 years is because you're trying to slot in people to be available at certain times. And other problems that arise, that you've got to make sure fits in and happen. And then schedules get pushed back because of different things. Or if you're working for a studio, the studio heads may change. They may not like that particular project. You've got to be able to sustain yourself mentally and psychologically through that 2-year process to make sure that you get that film made. Now, we've been listening to people, it's been taking 7, 10, and in my case, I'm working on a project that's taken nearly 14 years to get done. And I have to keep, and I understand and appreciate where you're saying that you can get depressed about it, because there were times when I opened that particular project up and went, oh my God, I can't do this, and actually just shut it down again. And that happened quite a few times just because of where I was mentally. And I think that happens with so many different projects that you can work on. And the last thing you want to do is to make sure that the project you're working on doesn't get finished, because it's no good not being finished. It's got to be, the only way it's any use to you is the moment it's finished, it's locked down, and you can now present it to a body of people, even if it's just one person, even if it's just Garvin. If you don't,
I'm the only one that matters in this universe, George.
Absolutely.
This is my personal universe. And if it doesn't matter to me, it's like I don't. If I don't mind, then it doesn't matter. So something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people forget is how mentally and physically overwhelming it is just to finish a 90-page script. And I think that's why when someone finishes even one draft of a 90-page script, someone, if you post it in a group, everyone will be like, oh my God, fair play. That's brilliant. You got one draft done. It's such an achievement, because people don't realize unless you've tried to write a 90-page script how hard it is,
That's because you're in Alcoholics Anonymous. You have to move back to the next door.
Which is actually probably quite good that we're getting back to Alcoholics Anonymous.
How do they write 90 pages? I can't even put my trousers on in the morning.
Well, the funny thing is that we've now got back to the first thing we started off, because Garvin went off to go to meet the postman, while me and Stephen here were talking about Guinness and Coors Light. And the reason why that's a very interesting thing to talk about is that we've now got to finish the show.
What? We haven't even spoke about the film and the writing and stuff.
But I think what's really fascinating is what's great about chatting to all the people that we chat with on this show is how much we all learn. And even though I may be sharing stories and experiences I've had, we're learning so much from each of our guests. We've learned so much, Stephen, from you, because you're talking about a perspective that you have. And that's actually encouraging. It's encouraging me, because I remember we made all these short films and then went on to make a feature film, and then things didn't quite happen the way you thought. But we're seeing how you're being motivated to go ahead and keep pushing through that. And we're kind of going, do you know what? We can do the same thing. And even though we're where we're at now, we're kind of going, yeah, now that gives us the incentive to keep on going. There's a reason, there's a purpose that we have behind us. And I think that's the great thing. And I love what we've talked about in the way that we've discussed the reason why scripts should be put together and reason why they shouldn't be put together. And the process that you need to go through to kind of sell those scripts to people. The idea of having a slug line, that 25 words that basically is used as a tool to try and see if you can invite someone to want to take something further, like the synopsis, before you get to the script, because that's an investment in someone else's time. Garvin and I have worked out, based on the processes that we've gone through individually, that a basic film with no action, no special effects, is roughly 350,000 pounds or euros, whichever you want to use. So once we see a 90-page script, we virtually say, right, 350. That's 1,000. That's how much it's going to cost to make. We don't want to do any more unless we know that there's a reason why we want to invest our time and effort into something. because it's got to be genuine, it's got to be good. And we don't want to be overwhelmed with 100 scripts, 100 scripts. Even if you spent 2 hours reading those scripts, that's 200 hours. We're talking about 5 weeks work. Who's going to put 5 weeks work into reading those scripts unless there's something worthwhile looking at that you want to invest in? And I think that's a key point. And again, you've brought out some beautiful things about what writers need to understand in the way they put things together, that there is a process that goes on beyond them. And one of the things that we've talked about quite often is the reason why you need to format scripts the way we format them, because that in itself becomes a tool to fit into our system, and we can gauge what happens, how each day is scheduled even, and what the requirements are based on that formatting of the script. So it is important. It's not just made up. There's been an industry going on for over 120 years or so now. Those things have been put in place deliberately. And if you follow those rules, and I know people like breaking rules, but there's a framework. If you follow the framework, then you can actually make a success of what you're actually doing.
Yeah, I think that's a really difficult thing as well, that a lot of writers when they're first coming up don't realize the difference between a spec script, which is a script you're writing on speculation that someone will buy it with format and stuff like that. Like I've helped people with scripts before, and I'll say to them, like, this isn't written in a spec script format. And they'd be like, what's that? And I'd be like, no one, major producer is going to look at your script if it's not formatted in a spec script format, and these are all things that I didn't know when I was coming up. Like, I didn't realize how the smallest details would cause whoever it is, producer, to be like, nope, not reading anymore of that. It's just
absolutely. Well, look, what we normally do is give our guests a couple of minutes to sort of, if there's anything else you'd like to say to our audience today, that key things. I mean, I think that point was really wonderful as well. Is there anything else you'd like to say, even from the director's perspective?
I suppose I didn't, but when I did Behind the Mask, when I directed it, I realized how much it's a team effort, how the director doesn't do everything, and I remember standing Behind the Mask going, like, what do I really do? It's really like all, DOP does a lot of the stuff, lighting is such a big part of it, and sound is such a huge part. Like, what do I actually do? It's really a team effort, because other than saying, other than having the overall vision and going, yeah, that shot looks good, no, I don't like that shot, or do it this way, do it that way. It's really all a group thing, and
absolutely.
I'm so grateful. I think that I've had so far 3 really good experiences. I haven't had any really bad experience with anyone, except for my own child, of course, on Shark Teeth the weekend. But I'll have done 4 short films now by the end of 2021, and I have 2 weeks then for Christmas, and I'm just like, what am I going to do after this film this Sunday though? I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. I think it's because I spent so long though, kind of procrastinating and not doing anything, that now I'm like, no, I just need to keep going. No, I can't take a break. I need to keep going.
Well, actually, that's what's happening to us, isn't it, guys? Because I'm away for 3 weeks, and I've got 6 shows to get edited so that we can keep them going. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm becoming quite manic in the whole process. It's just completely mad. So, Garvin, any last words just to wrap up the show?
Well, I'm just saying it's great to see Stephen out there, and he's out. As that comedian, he's going out now. He's not going just out. He's going out. And Facebook 2022, you're going 65 or 42 shorts in the planning. You're going to have. You've got your shorts now, so you want to put on your big boy pants now next year. That's what you want to do. Yeah. It's not going to be Led Zeppelin, whatever that guy jumping around us. Oh, no, AC/DC. That guy. Get a pair of pants, big boy pants next year. You've done your shorts. You've done your learning. I'm looking forward to bigger and better things. And we hope to see you out there. Yeah.
Look, everybody, thanks for having me on.
And thanks you, Stephen, for coming on the show. And thanks, everybody else, for watching this show. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.
Bye for now. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and click on the bell for notifications.